when I was one of the founder members, and there's one person in here who's even more of a founder member than I am, people ask me, why do you keep coming? And I just say, because not only do I like the people I meet in this tribe, but I find every time I pick up something, and it might be something that I already know and have forgotten to do, or I've been lazy, or I'm human, as David said. What I find is it just helps us remind us why we're here, what we need to do. So I hope you've taken something away today. The whole focus on what we're trying to do in the PSA now is previously the president used to come in and the president used to make a big impact on and used to be assumed chief executive role. It's no longer going to be like that. I'm the first beneficiary. So poor old Jane and Ailey had to put up with trying to be temporary chief executives. We have now got an interim chief executive and we've got a chairman. So anybody who has a complaint, anybody's got great ideas, I say thank you very much indeed, and I refer it to the team so that the PSA will continue to work despite the president. And so I am going to be able to be an honorary president, so in terms of it's an honour for me to actually go around and visit the regions and visit countries around the world to represent the PSA, and this is what it should be. But obviously I have an input, as I've been part of the team who've been leading the PSA for the last few years, and we're looking to try and make the regions far more prominent, far more important in developing, because what we're finding is we're getting members in, a lot of them are lasting 2 years and then they're leaving. And when we ask them why they're leaving, it's because they're not doing anything with what they're picking up. So what we're trying to do is find with the regions, how can we find a way of making the regions more aware of people who come here, and rather than saying, nice to see you again, actually hold each other to account, buddy up, and also recognise the skills that we've got in, because we've got certain people who talk about the same sort of thing, but they're not talking. And why aren't we knitting together, not necessarily having our mastermind group, but in America they call them pegs, but why don't we join together, but not necessarily nationally, but as a region, and say, how can we work together? Why wait for people to come and find us? Why don't we put on something for our prospective audience? So that's one of the ways we're going to try and develop what we do, so what we do for our members. But it's not about what the centre does, it's what the regions do. So we're trying to gather together all the skill sets. So we just launched the new website, and we're looking to try and harness, cultivate, gather together all the skills and see what can people do for each other, and say, oh, look, here's a little business section. Here's a little primarily ladies section. Here's a medical section, whatever it is. But why can't you work together? What can we do to help you to develop your careers? So we're going to try and be a bit more proactive. So that's where, if there is going to be a difference to last year to this year, that's our big, hairy, audacious goal, is to say it's less about the centre and it's more about the region. As part, I referred to founding members, and in our audience today, we've got one of the 4 founding members who actually put it together. There was Ricky Arundel, Philip, Brendan Power, and there's the Explorer, wasn't he? Who I can't remember. There was 4 key leaders, as it were, who said, why don't we do something? Because America had been leading the way. And Philip was one of the leaders of the profession, and as things happen in life, Philip went another way and has come back and joined us. And it's been one of the nicest things for those people who've been around for a long time to see people like Philip rejoining and enjoying the experience of being back together. So those of us who were there leading the organisation felt that now was the right time to actually acknowledge Philip. And it has been agreed that Philip, for his contribution in the past, and what has been nice is the contribution that he has been making recently, that is a judge to the PSA speaker factor here, and as a speaker, should be recognised as an honorary fellow of the association. So, Philip, if you'd like to come up and accept.
I'll stand because I need the inches. This is a surprise and it's been emotional.
Oh.
But thank you. Thank you. I belong to many groups. I went to boarding school and I've joined many other groups throughout my life. But this is my favorite tribe. When we started the PSA, our intention was to bring together like-minded people so we could walk amongst the people that we would like to be like and share expertise and experiences. And this has been happening, it's been happening here more than anywhere else. On Tuesday, we launched the Southeast region, and there was a lovely tribe there as well. And I'm sure the same experience will be there as well. But I feel at home, so thank you.
It's lovely to see Philip back in the tribe. And all I would encourage you, as Philip just mentioned, that was the next point I was going to make. Jackie and Barnaby have launched the Southeast region. On Tuesday was at Brands Hatch, and we've already had people talking about, is Brands Hatch the right place? Wherever the right place will be, it will be. But like all these things, there never is a right place. We test it and see. But they had a fantastic turn up, and the tribe is all about the people from London turn up there, people from Thames Valley. I would encourage you to try and visit the Southeast region and also try and visit Thames Valley as the three local, London, Thames Valley and now the Southeast. See what speakers, sometimes they'll be the same speakers, see what you'll learn from there, pick up some tips and hopefully contribute yourself. So welcome along, lovely to see you, and I hope to see an awful lot more of you in the year ahead and have a fantastic time. I hope your career goes from strength to strength. Go out to sea. In the old days, they used to launch their yachts, their boats, and they used to hang out their nets, hang out their lines, and they'd look out for seagulls to give them a clue where the fish were. Now, they're far more sophisticated. They listen to the forecast, they go onto radar, they get satellite images, and they go to where the fish are. As speakers, so many of us tend to throw out our line and a hook and put a bit of bait and hope somebody finds it. And one of the things I've been finding, been talking to so many speakers, is we've got to go and fish where the fish are. There's no point fishing in the ocean where there's no fish. So that's one of the learning points that I found. And one of the things that when we're going to regions, as Steve said, that we're actually exposing ourselves to potential people who will recommend us to other people. So I recommend that you not only speak to other speakers and actually make sure they're aware. But Steve, I met with Steve in Brighton and we talked about it, and Steve made a very valid point. Steve is a relatively new member, as a relatively new fellow, said, I don't actually know half the fellows. So you might know those fellows, and they might be brilliant speakers, but I've never heard them speak. And they're missing a point because we assume they must be really successful. I know not every fellow is as successful as they'd like to be. So the principle of getting out there and mixing, I just can't echo and reinforce enough what Steve has said. Come along on April the 18th. I can't tell you who, and I can't tell you where at the moment. We're looking at a fantastic venue. We're just ironing out the details. In fact, Derek is haggling at the moment to get an amazing details to keep the price as keen as possible. Our job is not to try and make money out of these events, it's to try and break even. So we try and pass on the as low a cost as possible within reason, but obviously we have to finance the central function. But we've got an amazing opening speaker at the moment. She's just waiting to tell us whether she's available, whether she's been booked abroad. But I can't reveal it at the moment because it would spoil the surprise. But I would book now, in the beginning of January, we should have the venue, and we will have the early bird availability that will only be there for 2 weeks. So you will have to take that opportunity. For the mega conference we just in October, almost 75% of the tickets went on the early bird. We had an awful job to break even. And it was only because of Derek, and you might use the story, with his haggling, that we were able to actually break even and make a very small surplus of our annual conference. But that wasn't a problem because we actually had budgeted to lose money. That's not. All I want you to do is make sure that you get those tickets, because the place we go to will have limited availability. So put it in your diaries now, 18th of April. It's going to be a fantastic event with amazing speakers, including, we hope, Felix, who is going to be bringing his towel over from Germany and explaining what it means to speak in Germany and other places in Europe. We've got a wide variety, but look out for that. So I would urge you to go and mix with other speakers, share what you do, and share how you could actually improve, as well as going to talk to other regions and learn from them. Let them see what you do and let them tell the world about you. So, on behalf of the PSA, forgetting what month it is, can I wish you all a fantastic, relaxing and calm Christmas. I'll be thinking of you, looking at Kilimanjaro. On safari, it'd be an alternative Christmas. I've never had a Christmas like that before. But then in the new year, as Chris has already said, I wish you a really prosperous 2015. But it will only be prosperous if you do something different to what you're doing now. So, Happy New Year and have a great, happy Christmas. So, in that clip, we saw me talking to the London PSA, but we also saw before that, we saw Philip Carmpani receiving his fellowship from the PSA. Philip was a founder member, very instrumental in setting up the PSA that has flourished so well in the last few years. It is great to be able to honour somebody who is so highly respected, and I hope now that he has rejoined the PSA, and we will see an awful lot more of him in 2015. He has so much to offer us all. 2015 is going to be an eventful year for all of us. I hope it's going to be your best year ever, but it's all about the caption on my left. As Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots that you do not take. So I hope you take some great shots, and I hope they prove to be very successful. I hope you sow a lot of seeds that end up flourishing, whether it's this year or the next year, but it's all about taking action. And last but not least, I look forward to meeting you in my visits to the regions and in the conferences both in April and October, and perhaps even in Scotland at the Burns Night on March the 17th. So on behalf of me and my colleagues in the PSA, Happy New Year, and hope it is a fantastic 2015.